The U.S. Department of Education is facing major changes. On March 11, 2025, the department announced a massive reduction in its workforce. Almost half of the employees will be let go. This means the department will shrink from 4,100 employees to about 2,050. This decision sent shockwaves through the education sector and beyond. Many are left wondering about the future of education in America. This move is not entirely unexpected. President Trump has been vocal about his desire to eliminate the Department of Education. He sees it as an unnecessary layer of bureaucracy. This reduction in staff is a step toward that ultimate goal. The Trump administration, under the leadership of Elon Musk at the Department of Government Efficiency, has been actively working to shrink the federal government. These cuts are part of a larger trend of reducing the size and scope of the federal government. Proponents of this approach argue that it will lead to greater efficiency and cost savings. They believe that many of the functions currently performed by the federal government can be better handled at the state or local level. However, critics worry about the potential impact on essential services and programs. The announcement of these cuts has sparked intense debate and uncertainty. The coming months and years will reveal the true impact of these changes on the American education system. Education Secretary Linda McMahon stated that these cuts are about efficiency. The department, she claims, is committed to supporting students, parents, and teachers. McMahon believes that this restructuring will allow the department to better direct resources where they are most needed. However, she also acknowledged that these cuts are just the beginning. President Trump's goal remains the complete elimination of the Department of Education. Achieving this will require congressional approval, which is uncertain at this time. The layoffs will be implemented in stages. Starting March 12, 2025, affected employees will begin teleworking. Then on March 21, 2025, they will transition to paid administrative leave. Severance packages will be calculated based on length of service. The department also clarified that these layoffs are separate from other recent staff reductions. Last month, 63 probationary employees were fired under a White House directive. Additionally, over 300 employees have accepted voluntary separation incentives, and about 260 have taken deferred resignation packages. These personnel changes have led to temporary closures of agency offices, citing security reasons. Offices are expected to reopen on Thursday, March 13, 2025. However, several offices across the country, including those in San Francisco and New York, will be permanently closed. The department plans to consolidate its operations into a single office in Washington, D.C. This consolidation aims to streamline operations and reduce overhead costs. However, critics argue that it will limit the department's ability to effectively serve students and educators across the country. The decision to centralize operations in Washington, D.C. has also raised concerns about a disconnect between policymakers and the realities of classrooms across the nation. The announcement of these cuts has been met with mixed reactions. Supporters of the move, including senior agency officials, argue that it will not negatively impact federal student aid. They maintain that the department will continue to fulfill its core functions, including disbursing financial aid and ensuring accountability in education. Critics, however, are less optimistic. Unions representing Department of Education workers and teachers have expressed deep concern over the cuts. They fear that these cuts will harm students, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds who rely on federal programs and support. The debate over the role of the federal government in education is not new. Supporters of a smaller federal role argue that education is primarily a state and local responsibility. They believe that local control and decision-making lead to better outcomes for students. They also argue that reducing the federal footprint in education will free up resources and reduce bureaucracy. Opponents of this view counter that the federal government plays a vital role in ensuring equity and access to quality education for all students. They point to the historical role of the federal government in desegregating schools and providing funding for low-income students and students with disabilities. The recent cuts to the Department of Education have reignited this debate. Only time will tell what the long-term consequences of these cuts will be. However, one thing is certain: the stakes are high for students, educators, and the future of American education. The massive layoffs at the Department of Education have left many wondering about the future of education in America. The cuts, driven by a desire for a smaller federal government, raise questions about the role of the federal government in education. Will these cuts lead to greater efficiency and improved outcomes for students, as proponents claim? Or will they result in diminished support for vulnerable students and a widening of the achievement gap, as critics fear? The answers to these questions remain unclear. However, it is crucial to remember that education is an investment in our collective future. A well-educated populace is essential for a thriving democracy and a strong economy. As we move forward, it is imperative that we prioritize policies and practices that ensure that all students have access to a high-quality education, regardless of their background or zip code. The future of our nation depends on it. The debate over the best way to achieve this goal is likely to continue. However, one thing is certain: we cannot afford to abandon our commitment to public education. The stakes are too high. The decisions we make today will have far-reaching consequences for generations to come. We must proceed with caution, guided by a deep commitment to equity and excellence for all learners. The future of American education hangs in the balance. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that all students have the opportunity to reach their full potential.